Welcome to the Sports MVT Insider, a platform where we are unrelenting in covering women in sport. And of course, we celebrate those achievements, whether they might be small or even those big moments as well. So thank you so much for joining us today. But today we focus on the world of mountain biking. Now, this is somewhat of a strange sport, and I'm certain that many people don't necessarily follow it. But today we will be shining the spotlight on this incredibly fascinating sport. And today we are joined by one of our very own. Now, she's a South African cross-country mountain biker, and trust me, she's achieved quite a few things as well. And we will be getting to know more about her journey as well as her career as well. Her name is Mariske Strauss. Mariske, how are you doing?
I'm lovely. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Sports MVT Insider. Let's start the conversation here. A lot of people don't necessarily know what mountain biking is. We know exactly what a bicycle is. We know what a mountain is, but now we have to put these two components together into a sport. What exactly is mountain biking?
It's the best thing ever. No, so mountain biking is, yeah, it's exactly what you said. You've got a bicycle, you've got a mountain, you put them together, then you get a mountain bike. It's those bikes with the suspension, not the hectic suspension, but yeah, suspension nonetheless. And you get different types of mountain bikes. So you get a downhill bike, you get a cross-country bike, you get, there's so many avenues that you could go into. For South Africa, I'm pretty sure most people ride a full suspension, which is suspension in the rear and in the front. It just gives you a smoother ride, especially if you're planning on doing something like the 𝗀𝗶𝗶𝗶 or stage racing or things like that. And with the African terrain, we definitely need a little bit of extra help there. But yeah, it's cross country mountain bike. So cross country is the Olympic discipline of mountain biking. It's in a format of, it's usually a one circuit with around 4 kilometers, actually between 3 and 4 kilometers. And yeah, in the mix, there's jump, there's climbing, there's rock gardens, there's you name it, we've got it. And yeah, the aim is to do that as fast as you can and win. It's usually race time is around an hour and a half, hour and 15, hour and a half. And yeah, you do as many laps as you can. Well, it's usually set amount of laps, so they usually work it out. If it's a 15-minute lap, then they'll say 6 or 5 laps that you need to do to get to the time limit. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's hectic racing, and yeah, it's max out. So it's definitely one of the more brutal disciplines.
Yeah. Now you talk about it being a brutal sport, and to me that stands out a little bit. But tell us a little bit about how you fell in love with this brutal sport, as you call it.
So funny story. Actually, I couldn't ride a bike when I was younger.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. So it's like a serious confession from me. I remember my dad trying to teach me, and he took my side wheels off, and I just couldn't. I was like, I remember I threw the bike down. I was like, I can't do this, and like running inside the house. That was when I was quite young, but luckily I outgrew that. And yeah, my dad actually started the whole rigmarole, and he started racing, and then my brother joined him. And I mean, I was always at the event, so I was like, yeah, I can do this. And yeah, the bug bit me and fell in love with an amazing sport, and yeah, never looked back.
Definitely. Let's talk a little bit about your competitive journey. You've told us now about how you couldn't actually ride a bicycle when you were younger, but at some point in your journey, you decided that, listen, I want to go pro and I want to start competing competitively. When did that happen? And tell us a little bit more about your journey from that point to where you're now.
Yeah, so I basically jumped straight into national racing. I think my first race was actually a national cross-country race. And back in the day, there was actually hardly any females racing. So I used to race with the men. And growing up with two brothers, that was kind of my normal. So I think there's always been a competitive edge. You need to fight for food and space in the house and everything. So it was always part of my nature. And I think also being South African, we're like very determined. And like once we set our mind to something, we're like, we'll see this through. We got this. So yeah, it grew and it developed into what it is today. And yeah, started growing with big dreams and aspirations. And once I set my mind to something, I kind of want to see it through to the end. So still some big goals and dreams that needs to be ticked off. But yeah, looking forward to it. And I'm very fortunate to have the platform I have and all the sponsors that I do. So it makes it possible for me to race my bike.
Definitely. You talk about having a platform and the sponsors, of course, that go hand in hand with you being able to compete in the sport as well. But I now know that in this particular moment in time, you're currently in the Netherlands and you're getting some international experience. Now, you are currently part of the 2021 𝗀�nél mountain bike racing team. Apologies, that was quite lengthy.
That's
right?
a mouthful.
So,
you did great.
thank you so much. So you currently are part of this international team, and how does it feel for you to gain this international experience?
It's amazing. Coming from South Africa, that's always a tricky part. Seeing as cross country is very much based in Europe. So that's always a hurdle that we need to cross. And it's been amazing racing with the team. It's a good platform and it's a wealth of knowledge that I'm learning from. My contract is ending this year, so need to progress, and this is also the other side of sport that nobody sees. It's every 2-year cycle you need to renegotiate deals and contracts. So yeah, it's coming up. But yeah, it's an amazing platform, and very fortunate to have had this opportunity to race with this team and learn from the Europeans.
Definitely. Let me take you back to 2014, Glasgow, the Commonwealth Games.
Oh my goodness.
Now, that's a while ago, but I think you will remember this. You tore your abdominal muscle and you still decided to compete, and then you made your debut at the Commonwealth Games. Tell us a little bit more about this experience. I mean, for most people, to tear a muscle is incredibly traumatic, but for you as a professional athlete, you were like, listen, I'm still going to compete. Tell us a little bit more about that day.
Yeah, it's probably not the cleverest moment. I think it was actually, a little bit of a shamble, and we got to the event quite late. So naturally you try and make up time and you try and get sneaky lines, and just unfortunately missed the drop, or not missed a drop, I overshot a drop and landed really badly. I think I actually fractured my back as well, and did quite a number on myself. But yeah, the biggest thing was I tore my abdominals. I'm not sure. I don't think I actually tore it as bad when I crashed. I did the worst part, I think, was when after I raced my final lap, I definitely heard a snap there on the last climb, so it definitely made it worse there. But yeah, it's part of racing, and being a young athlete, you kind of determined and you are there and you want to do your best. So I mean, you're representing your country, so probably in hindsight it probably would have been a bit better to not compete. But yeah, it's also scary how little people know of abdominal injuries. So that was kind of an eye-opener to myself. And yeah, it is what it is. It happened, and yeah, it's actually developed me into a better athlete. I take more care of myself, and also just if anybody is torn muscles, it's a lifelong thing. It's not like a like a bone that 6 weeks you're good to go again. A muscle and ligaments, it's with you permanently. So it's shaped me into a better athlete, I feel.
Definitely. Now, 2014 was somewhat of a difficult year. Let's call it that. It was a difficult year. Commonwealth Games didn't necessarily go too well. But in 2018, in the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games, you finished in the top 10. Now, we talk about you being able to adapt and you being able to learn from those bad experiences. Tell us about what happened in 2018, because that was a much better performance given the fact that you did finish in the top 10.
Yeah, it was better. You grow, you develop, you learn from your mistakes, and the setup was really good at Glasgow. Mentally, it was also quite tough. So I think I still had some niggles to work out, but the result was better, and I grew and stepped it up a bit. So hopefully next year, I think it's in Britain next year, Britain.
Birmingham.
Okay. Oh yes, Birmingham, here we come. So hopefully we can step up to the podium.
Definitely. We would love to see you win a gold medal. Do you think the chances are good?
I think so. I think it's possible. Definitely. Why not? Dream big.
Definitely. Now, talking about dreaming big, I would like for us to discuss the future of women's cycling in South Africa specific. How do you think the future looks for the sport of cycling in South Africa, given the fact that you are currently competing in Europe and you're quite familiar with the circuit and some of the challenges that ladies might face throughout the sport as well?
Yeah, the school series that has started has, I think, grown the sports in leaps and bounds. So very thankful to everybody involved with that. But we need to progress it a bit more and get more ladies on bikes, even if it's not to compete professionally, even if it's just to enjoy. It's such an amazing sport, and it's a sport that you can do at any age and at any fitness level, which is amazing. And you can do it with friends. So it's really exciting to see. And from where I started to now at cross country national events, there's 20 women on the start line. It's absolutely amazing to see. So really looking forward to seeing more women on bikes and getting active and just enjoying the sport that's so good for you and gets you to places like the Netherlands.
Definitely. Let's talk a little bit about your future. Now, we've already mentioned the fact that there's a big possibility that you will win gold at next year's Commonwealth Games.
But putting out into the universe. I love it.
Definitely. So is there anything else that you would like to achieve? Is there any other specific goal or race that you would possibly like to win on the circuit?
I still want to get onto a World Cup podium. I did a cross country eliminator last weekend where I got onto a podium for that. So exciting stuff. But I still need to tick off the 𝗙𝗹𝗶𝗹. I'm racing that in October with a South African female racer. So we are aiming for that top step. I've gotten a second and a third on GC for the 𝗙𝗹𝗶𝗹, so still missing that top spot. That's a big goal. And then, of course, the Olympic Games is definitely right up there. And 3 more years to go, so it's almost around the corner again.
You're locked onto the Sport MVT Insider, a podcast for unrelenting coverage of women in sport. I absolutely love diving deeper into the journeys of our athletes, coaches, and administrators to get to know them a little bit better than we do. Coming up this Wednesday is an interesting round of quick fire questions, a great opportunity for some good laughs and some great banter. Keep it locked onto Sport MVT, where we celebrate our women in sport.